Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, police in Lagos arrest 179 violators of interstate travel lockdown, impound 43 commercial vehicles as state government seals bars, nightclub for flaunting COVID-19 order. And later on the show, National Assembly weighs in hot plan hike in electricity tariff. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Adekunle Yusuf, who will be joining. Thank you for joining us. While the COVID-19 lockdown order was in place, many Nigerians continued to flout the directives, but law enforcement agents also tried to rein in offenders. Police in Lagos arrested 179 violators of the interstate travel lockdown and impound 43 commercial vehicles. Officials of the state government who also tried to enforce compliance sealed many bars and nightclubs for flaunting the COVID-19 containment order. Meanwhile, another high-profile personality has tested positive to the coronavirus. Governor of Ondo State and chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum, Rotimi Akeredolu, now has the virus. He broke the news in this video. Let's hear him. Vintage that for NBA president. Anytime I just look at him talking like this, I remember his days as the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. We wish him well, Babajide. We wish him well, because to come out like this, for people deluding themselves out there that this is just a creation of government, this does not exist. It's now at your doorstep, and it's getting closer every day. If you underestimate coronavirus, it's at your own peril.
Yes, and that's the message that we should not be tired of getting across to the people who sit there deluding themselves and trying to gaslight Nigerians, deceive Nigerians, because they are high up there. They think that whatever they say, Nigerians will believe. They are the ones who are saying, no, it does not exist, you know. But when it gets to their door, maybe when it takes one of their own, because it has not reached that point now, if it takes one of their family members, maybe someone that they love so dearly, at that time, reality will set in. The average Nigerian politician, because the Nigerian politicians, a lot of them are responsible for the cynicism that has made it difficult for us to rally Nigerians to help defeat this pandemic. These politicians are naturally selfish. When something concerns their blood, that is when you will see clearly that they are selfish. For now, other people are dying, and they want the world to believe that it does not exist. They don't even care whether people are dying. And some gullible, unthinking people choose to continue to preach the message that COVID-19 does not exist, that they are preaching.
It's even more dangerous when someone is systematic, as in you are not showing any symptoms at all. No symptoms.
Yes.
Can be moving around.
Seyi Makinde was symptomatic.
Yes, you'll be spreading it.
That's why some people on Facebook
will not know.
Some people on Facebook were saying that Seyi Makinde had a fake COVID-19. We can only sympathize with such people and demonstrating idiocy. What is fake COVID-19? He had it, and he was treated. The fact that he used natural herbs does not mean that he was not treating COVID-19 in the real sense. There are herbs that give you immunity against the virus. And the former INEC chairman talked about, yes, that black seed is one of those herbs that can be useful at this time. But because we like to embark on one-track reasoning, some of us are thinking, oh, as long as you do not look at the option of herbal medicine, then it does not exist. But the more important people, big people like El-Rufai, big people like Seyi Makinde, big people like the governor of Bauchi State, big people like the governor of Abia now, who up till now has not recovered. He's still receiving treatment. The more such people contract this virus, the more our people will believe that we should take this seriously. For now, a lot of our people believe that this is just a joke. Oh, it's an opportunity for government to steal money. When the thieves in government don't really need COVID-19 to have access to your funds, can you stop them?
Can't.
If they want to take money and give their girlfriends, what can you do about it? You are not in a position to stop them. You think it's only through COVID-19 that they can steal money? I mean, our people should.
I don't know who is driving that narrative.
No, it's just, you see, it takes one person. It takes one person to come up with an asinine opinion. Either on social media, you see so many people will start talking about it. Look at it was Dokpesi that came out to be asking the funny question, is COVID-19 malaria again, this and that, because they gave him a preponderance. The preponderance of the drugs that they gave him were malaria drugs.
He knows better.
When he should be thanking God
Saving his
and be
life.
thanking the health workers who helped him to stay alive, where some other people had died. He came on here because you have access to the media and was trying to rubbish the work of the people who kept him alive. Is malaria a sickness that is transmissible? Of course, you can't compare this virus to malaria. They are two different.
Ravaging the world.
Yes, you can't. You can't. People are educated, but some of the things that they do, you just be wondering what's going on.
Since this thing started in early this year, we had a lot of sector grounded.
Yes.
And part of that sector is, the transport sector.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you won't know the number of jobs that were on the line since February to this time.
Yes.
You have people running interstates, and that lockdown really affected. I went to Benin last week, and then we went by road. Jide, from here to Benin, I don't know if I'll be underestimating it, but I know my driver is watching and Dozier is watching, my engineer. We met close to 200 checkpoints. Policemen collecting money.
It was just an opportunity for them, a kind of boom time for them.
It was so nasty. It was a journey ordinarily that would spend like 3, 4, 5 hours. We ended up spending 6 hours collecting money, stopping people on the road. And so with this, the official end to this lockdown, I'm sure the Inspector General of Police will do something to get those guys out of that road, a lot of the highway. Now, the critical sector, maybe the likes of God is Good Motors, the Agofure Motors, the people that are doing legitimate business, that want to, they want to convey Nigerians across board.
Those of them who have chosen to respect the
they couldn't run during that time. Yes.
They chose not to run, but the smaller stakeholders, they got on the road. They were traveling at night. They were using the unpopular routes.
They would have budgeted money that the police will collect, deducted it, and charge their passengers.
Someone was telling me, look, if I want to go to Abuja today, I will go. Someone was telling me about 3 weeks ago, because they believe that the policemen on the road, they have a price. Once you just give them money, they will let you proceed on your journey. And it's shameful. The police thoroughly compromised this ban on interstate. It got to a point that Governor El-Rufai had to physically, by himself, go and man the border. Because the truth is, a lot of the transmission that has taken place happened through this interstate commuting by our people. And when, on all occasions that they grabbed those who contravened the law and forced them to go and do a test, many of them returned positive. You remember, if you go back to what happened in Osun, those people who were going to Ejigbo, who came all the way from Cote d'Ivoire, who were going to Ejigbo. You know how many of them tested positive? And they all had high viral load. That is the transmission, rapid transmission. If those people had been able to escape, thank God that the governor of Ogun State quickly called his brother, Oyetola, to say, look, some people are on the way, they are coming to your state. Make sure that they are arrested as soon as they land. So immediately they saw them. They surrounded their vehicle and they made sure that none of them escaped. So that was what saved Osun at that time. But a lot of people have been traveling and transmitting this thing. Buses will be filled with passengers. Everybody using safe masks. No precaution being respected, because Nigerians have chosen to believe that when they tell them to sit at home, they are being punished. The government does not like them. Government wants to kill them. But it is when government allows you to freely behave like nothing has happened, that is when government truly hates you. Those who give the impression that the virus does not exist and allow people to move around freely, they are the true haters of the populace. They are the true haters of the people. Those in government, the boss, most of us, and the rest of them, who are campaigning every day, let us take precautions. The Dr. Sanis of this world, they are the true lovers of our people. They don't want our people to die. But those who are saying it does not exist, it is artificial, it was imported so that to mislead the people, they are the true haters of our people, because they will watch our people die. And even when they can see clearly that it's COVID-19 that killed people, they can, even when they attend burial, they see SCDC officials kitted in PEPs or PPEs, they will still be saying that no, COVID-19 exists. Those are the true enemies of our people, who will not blink an eye if people die.
Why would now the federal government is thinking of imposing lockdown on 18 local councils around out of the 774 around the country, you know, and they've identified a lot of some local governments even in Lagos, Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, and they went to Abuja, Betiosa, Abuja to identified one.
And Taroni in
How do you lock down this area?
It's extremely difficult at this time, because you are easing up at this time. You can't be talking about locking down other parts. How do you do that?
Is it that
you are easing up?
Like, let's say I'm on the mainland now, I work on the island, I will have to drive to the island every day, and we say people should not move from the island to the mainland.
I don't know how they want to do it. Boss Mustafa described it as precision lockdown. When you talk about precision, you are talking about accuracy. You know? So what is precision lockdown? It has to be defined for us to understand that this is what is happening. Yes, this thing has really been concentrated in between 18 to 20 local governments, and 11 of those local governments are in Lagos alone.
Lagos is in trouble.
Yes, Lagos alone. 11 of the 18 local governments are in Lagos. Then you have Abuja Municipal, you have Taroni in Kano, you know. So, yes, steps must be taken to address the problem, to slow down the community transmission that is going on at this time. But how do we then lock down? It's almost unthinkable at this time. The problem from the beginning is that we probably locked down too early, because we have locked down at a time when we were never close to reaching the peak. Today now, at this time, since we locked down, we have recorded about 17,000 extra cases. Because at the point when we locked down, we were on like 5,000 or so. I mean, when we eased the lockdown, we were around 5,000. But since we eased the lockdown, we have climbed to about 17,000 more.
We entered 1,000 during the lockdown, 2,000.
Yes, we got to like 5,000 when we eased it. You know, after we eased it, we've now recorded no less than 17,000 fresh cases. It usually happens when you ease lockdowns. The cases will spike. It happened in Germany too, you know. So, but we just have to do something. The rate at which it's going, it's not extraordinary. When Nigerians say, oh, these costs are unbelievable, have they seen what is happening in South Africa? A country that its population is not even up to, is in the region of about maybe 50 to 55 million. And we are like 180 million. But South Africa, their cases are a lot higher than ours. So if you are saying our own is too high, when we have not even reached the peak of testing, it shows that our people still need to know a lot more on this matter.
And it's quite expensive to carry out a test, Babajide.
Yes, it's about 50,000. That's why some of those governors are running away. It's not as if they don't know that this thing exists in their state. There's no way an Ayade in Cross River will be saying that there's no this thing in the state. Are they testing in the state? The answer is no. People have died in the state of COVID-19. The University of Calabar Teaching Hospital has now reported that a case of COVID-19 was brought to the hospital. So what is Governor Ayade saying? You know, deceiving people because you don't want to spend money to save people's lives. That's the issue. I've said it before that the day the president says, look, the issue of managing COVID-19 patients, we will handle the funding. You will see that all these governors will stop what they are doing. It's because that money that they don't want to spend. It's massive. It costs a lot of money. Lagos State has done something that all those states should be doing. Lagos State has now involved the private sector in funding this war. They are helping them to build
hospitals,
isolation centers. They are funding them. The governor admitted to us that, look, we have to reach out to them. Instead of being creative, instead of thinking
out of the box.
Out of the box, thinking of how you can get the private sector involved in assisting you. You are busy spewing lies.
Ultimately, when you look at it, the way we are going, we've not gotten to the peak, and we don't have solution here to this, and it is very, very disheartening that people that are having underlying sickness, they hardly survive COVID-19.
Yes.
And we've seen them. We can't be mentioning names, but it doesn't have anything to.
It makes it extremely difficult.
It doesn't have anything to do with Nigeria. Even outside the country, by the time COVID-19 comes and you have some,
you are diabetic, you have heart condition,
high blood pressure, you are asthmatic, anything that has to do with your respiration,
it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem. That is why it kills older people more. Because the older you get, the more you have those underlying sicknesses that are actually identified more with the older people. 80% of the cases in Nigeria affect young people, 30 to 40, you know. So that's why the rate of recovery is faster in our country.
It's high.
That is why the rate of fatality is also low. The rate of fatality in our country is just about 2.5%, you know. So, but if the bulk of the people affected were elderly people, as it happened in Italy, we'll probably be picking dead bodies on the streets. So the bulk of the people affected in Italy were those old people, and Italy has the highest percentage of elderly people in the whole of Europe. So that's why it hurt the Italians so much at that time. That's why it hurt the Spaniards. But they've recovered now. They've been able to bring the pandemic under control. New Zealand has brought it under control. Spain has brought it under control. France has brought it under control. And you can see there is other countries that took it lightly that are now suffering. Countries like even Brazil that played with it, you can see that it's growing in rate of this thing is growing in Brazil. New cases growing in Brazil because they took it lightly from the beginning.
We also have to contend with our religious leaders. Some of them are advocating that, look, the churches cannot continue to be closed in perpetuity, that Lagos and Ogun State did not take a good decision by still ordering people to sit down at home. And you have the likes of Pastor Adeboye that said, look, yes, churches can open, but me, my wife, and my grandchildren will stay at home because of his age and the age of his wife, and his grandchildren should be under 18. But still, some pastors are still kicking against that. Look, the churches should be thrown open.
They shouldn't throw churches open, no matter what these pastors say. This is not a matter of, oh, you believe in God, I don't believe in God. I'm a Christian. And I contribute my own quota to God's work. By the grace of God, I do that. I'm a songwriter in my church. I do what I need to do in my church. But I'm someone who faces reality. They want us to throw open the churches, throw open the gates of churches. We are churches that seat like 50,000 people. How do you monitor social distancing in those places? They compare churches to markets. There is no market for example, with the size and the number of the congregation, like Winners Chapel, for example. Where is that market in Nigeria?
Not even Lagos Island.
Not even, yes. Yes, it's difficult to practice social distancing in those markets. But we are saying that churches are much bigger and they draw larger crowds. You can imagine Redemption Camp, for example, if they say Holy Ghost service, let it happen. You can imagine how many people will be there. Can you find that number of people in even Lagos markets put together? No, you can't. You and the person in churches, people hold hands, people embrace and all that. When you go to buy okra in the market, do you embrace the malam that is selling okra to you?
For what, sir?
Do you shake hands with him?
Naturally, you don't shake.
Do you lay hands on him? Do you lay hands on the person who is selling groundnut oil to you? Do you lay hands on him? No. So I mean, some of these, or do you give him only communion to eat?
You know? Okay, let's also inform our viewers that we are live on Facebook. That's facebook.com/TVC News Nigeria. We have Adekunle Yusuf waiting for us. Adekunle. Hey, Kuleshi is in his car. Kuleshi.
Good afternoon.
Now we've there's a kind of ease on the instant state ban around the movement around states from one state to the other. It has been eased down. What do you make of this?
I think maybe the government may have to think properly before they issue any directive on easing of restriction. Believe me, when there was full restriction, do you know Nigerians were moving from here to Kano, from here to the east, from east to Kano, from Kano to Lagos and everywhere. You know, the way they were doing it, I had to travel around that time too. And what I saw, I was so afraid that, are we not afraid of this virus? Because Nigerians didn't seem to take things, serious, as if what the government has been saying is not true. Whereas, with what we've seen in the recent weeks or days, I think people should take the message from our health authorities. They should take all these messages as very serious, because when you look from Lagos to Osun, you see several roadblocks. And the lockdown, I'm sorry to say, it has only provided opportunity for our security agents, to make money. So they were collecting money from commercial drivers and people were moving. Now, if government wants to relax it, I don't think it's the best. I prefer the government to actually make sure that enforcement of lockdown order is made, better than what we have recorded in the past. Because if you look at what the WHO said recently now, that we are not even moved towards, getting into the middle, if not, I don't know, some people thought we are getting out of the virus or the pandemic, which is not true. We still have a lot of work to do, and we have not made enough progress to start thinking that we're on top of the game. For now, I don't think it's the best.
Now, the violators of the breakdown, Lagos State are actually compounded vehicles, impounded vehicles. I think the figure I have here, 43 vehicles, and arrested 179 violators. What do you make of this?
That is what government should have been doing. We're doing this every day. People will take it serious. Many people believe that if they don't travel from here to Kano or from here to Osun or from here to Igbo land, that heaven will fall, which is not true. There are a lot of things you can do now online, virtually. You can do anything now, and government has made it easy by saying essential services. If it's food items, you can send the consignment of food from here to Kano or from Kano to Lagos State without endangering the life of your fellow, countrymen and women. But people travel sometimes, I'm sorry, for frivolous things. They're tired of staying in Lagos. They want to see their family in so place. And journeys that normally should take 5,000, 6,000, commercial drivers now up the game 15,000. They will pay because they will tell you that at each roadblock, the security agent will take 1,000 naira. So they will have to transfer the money, to the travelers. Of course, this is not the right thing, but that is what has been going on. So if government, you know, enforces the law order in more seriously, impounding vehicles, those who are found to have broken the law, maybe send on community service, jail, all those things, maybe we will take the thing serious. I love what Lagos state government, has just done. Maybe this can happen every day. You will see sanity, on our roads. Because when you travel from here to anywhere now in Nigeria, you see the kind of vehicular movement on our roads, and you will say, hey, people say there is lockdown. There is no lockdown, except what we don't say on the pages of the newspaper. What happens in reality? People didn't obey the law order. So I'm happy with what Lagos State government has done.
Okay, but Babaji, now, we have over 2 million transport workers in critical condition, according to the Nigerian Labour Congress president, Ayuba Waba. What's the meaning of this? As in people that have not earned their living, they've not been able to. 2 million.
Yes, I think it's basically transport workers in the aviation sector, transport workers in even road transport sector, who obeyed the government directive that no one should travel interstate. And when you look at these big transport companies, Agofre, GIG, God is good. They have hundreds and hundreds of vehicles, and they commute a good number of Nigerians.
Some of them go to Ghana, from here to Ghana.
Yes, so all of that could not happen with the ban put in place. A lot of those big companies refused to get involved because they knew the implication of traveling, of breaching the lockdown. Yeah, so they chose to respect the directive of government. So these are the people who could not earn their living at this time. And some of the airlines, they had to send their workers on compulsory vacation. Some of them decided to slash wages of their workers by a huge percentage at this time.
When they resume,
yes, so these are the people affected. Just like labor leader just talking about the welfare of people in that transport sector. So many people were badly affected by this. It has happened in other sectors too. Look at hospitality, for example.
Oh no.
Look at
schools, teachers.
Schools. A lot of them, they cannot pay salaries of teachers.
Schools. I don't know how they survive.
Look at even event centers, for example.
Yeah.
Places where we used to hang out and eat fish in Abuja and other places. People cannot do that. Those of them who found it extremely difficult, they now chose to go and open their nightclubs, their bars, believing that government would not come for them. And that's why those violators in Lagos have been arrested. You cannot run your bar at this time, your nightclub, your strip bars at this time, because you are going to cause massive transmission of the virus. Because people relate at close quarters, sweaty contacts and all that when they are dancing. And so they needed to go down and lock these places up. Probably even take their license from them to serve as deterrent to others. But it has really been difficult for our people this period.
But Adekunle, when we start now, it's going to be quite difficult in the aviation sector. You are going to Abuja. You're expected to be there 3 hours before takeoff. I was even told that if it's an international flight, you might need to get there 5 hours before takeoff. The social distancing, I saw like a guide of what FAN and in collaboration with the Ministry of Aviation, they've approved. So the process of you even queuing to get on board, even to even get your boarding pass, it's going to be a lot cumbersome, and I think it's going to be more expensive.
Yes,
today.
it will be, because even the seating arrangement and the aircraft have been reconfigured to allow for physical distancing, you know, which would make it a lot more difficult for transmission to take place. And when people use the toilet, they have to constantly go there and decontaminate those toilets. This is not, if I have my way, this is not the time to even get in an aircraft, because the possibility of contracting the virus will be a lot greater. How did this thing even spread in Europe and other places? People traveled to watch Champions League games and all that. The people came back. That's why it's so high in the UK. You know, they love football a lot.
Yes.
They came in, and then from there, business began to circulate. So it's tough. And the fan will also ensure that even the number of flights per day are reduced. So at the end of the day, people, those who want to fly, would pay more. They will pay heavily, because there's no way you can tell an airline that has removed those aisle seats, that have lost opportunity to make more money, to not transfer the burden to
passengers.
to those who are flying.
But I have to fly Lagos Abuja so as much as 70, 80.
Nobody knows how much they'll come up
They'll
with.
come up with.
The ministry will be in talks with them to at least try to mitigate the whole thing, but I know it will be tough.
Okay, we'll take this breather. When we come back, National Assembly waiting hot planned hike in electricity tariff. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this breather. Here in Lagos, Nigeria, Vox Populi, Vox Dei, meaning the voice of man is the voice of God, is an age-long maxim signifying the power behind the voice of the people. The National Assembly is hidden to the voice of the people by halting the planned hike of electricity tariffs. Nigerians have never hidden their disdain for hike in the electricity tariff in whatsoever guise. Babajide, the National Assembly is not saying that it will not happen. They are saying the timing.
Yes.
And they are saying that it should be deferred to the first quarter of 2021. That they will need to put some things in place. Already, there's a scheme going on by the distributors, willing buyer, willing sellers. If you go to areas like, don't let me mention that area so that I won't expose, but they have lights up to 24 hours. Why? It is they've accepted that, okay, this is what you're billing us for the month, this is the bulk, and you're passing it on to us. Yes, we'll pay you, and you have constant power supply. In that area now, people testify to it that almost 24 hours, that you don't need generator and everything. So we'll get to that stage. But looking at majority of Nigerians that might not be able to afford this hike, we don't know what is going to be from how much to how much.
Well, currently, the national average is 31 naira. The national average. That means, the amount that the regulators insist that the discos should sell electricity is 31 naira. But the landing cost is in the region of 88 naira. Now,
So
this is one reason discos are cutting corners. Let's tell ourselves the truth.
the landing cost.
The landing cost.
So you have to sell at a loss.
I am for regulating tariff. It is a regulated sector, no doubt about it. But the regulation must bear in mind the cost of production and all. If you do not allow them to sell
To make business
at a
people will not-
competitive price,
people
they
not
will
come and
cut
invest
corners.
into it, yes.
This one that you are talking about is even part of it. Because some people that they should give electricity to, they refuse to
They'll
give.
cut them. They'll say they don't have the financial power. Go and give people that.
They refuse to give to them and prefer to give to those that they know will pay whatever they ask them to pay. So the Lazarus stratum of society, the poor in our society, invariably they will not get electricity supply. I laugh at Nigerians who some of them will have maybe 21 hours a day and they will say, oh, electricity has improved. That's not how to judge it. The way to judge it is to look at the generating capacity. How many megas did they generate on the day? Then how many did they distribute? Siemens that we are cutting right now, they've already told us that, look, Transmission Company of Nigeria can hardly transmit beyond 5,000 megawatts. If we transmit beyond 5,000 megawatts, it's not sustainable. We can't go beyond that day, and there will be system failure. So this whole thing, there has to be coordination. There has to be alignment. If I can generate as a GENCO, if I can generate 10,000 or 11,000 megawatts, then transmission should be able to wheel 10,000 megawatts or 11,000 megawatts. Distribution companies should also be able to
evacuate,
to distribute that amount that is generated. But that's not what we have. You give discos what you transmit to discos a certain megawatt. They will say, no, we don't need all of this. That's what is called shorting. They will reject and decide on what they want to take and simply give to people that they are sure will pay. That's what we are having. And what do? The government then designed a formula whereby generating companies, if you have a generating company, for example, that has the capacity to generate 1,000 megawatts, I'm just using this as an example. Of course, all of what your installed capacity, you don't have to generate because nobody will take it from you. We then go to pay them for the shortfall. We are just giving people money in that sector for no reason.
Adekunle, do you support this proposed hike in tariff?
Believe me, I would never support. I won't support it. I won't support it because there are most Nigerian, electricity consumers have not been connected to the prepaid meter. They still rely on
estimated billing.
Estimated billing. I just moved from estimated billing to prepaid metering now, and when I look at the experience, believe me, it's like somebody who has been in prison for a very long time, and all of a sudden you enjoy freedom. What happens to consumers, in estimated billing is undefinable fraud, cheating, exploitation that you can never describe. Then when you move from that to prepaid meter,
what you have.
That's like bringing democracy to the sector. You give the power to the people. It brings transparency and makes everybody accountable. If you want to increase tariff, oh, sweet, great. We know the economics of this. But must it be done at the expense of poor Nigerians? And you have a good idea. What of the timing? Is it the best time to do this? This is a time when I'm using the word deliberately, I rarely use it. Most Nigerians are facing hard times. Most salary earners are not happy. It's either you are asked to stay on forced leave, or you are asked to go home and never return to that company, or you don't collect your salary, or you collect half salary, or you collect a percentage of your salary. Believe me, things are not fine economically in Nigeria today. Anybody who thinks of this idea of hiking electricity tariff now, to me, is not a friend of Nigeria and Nigerians. At this time, what we should be thinking about is ideas about how to, take people from poverty, because people are already down because of this pandemic. We have a bad situation. We have always been having a bad situation, but the pandemic came and worsened a bad situation. So we should not think about ideas to further worsen it. I applaud the efforts of the National Assembly.
Fighting for
May God continue to, yes, the Senate President and the Speaker, may God continue to bless them. This is a time we need leadership. I wonder what is the purpose of government if at this time you have an agency of government, whether you tell me it's privatized, it's Genco, it's Disco, no, I don't care. Because Nigerians will be the direct, losers in this affair. So
Babajide?
what Jide has been saying is actually perfect. There will be a time we need to embrace the ideas Jide has been talking, because those things we need to put them in place for us, for all of us to be happy. But we must not make discourse happy when the consumers will remain perpetually unhappy. Let all of us at this time think about what should we do. This is not the right time. The timing is totally wrong.
Timing is totally wrong. Babajide, but these people will tell you that they're in business to make money.
Yes.
You know part of this truth, that you know what they are charging now, and you know the production costs. It's just like what is happening in the oil sector. When you talk about the landing cost, and government will go ahead, they will subsidize the landing cost, and Nigerians will have to buy at a reduced price. But these guys are not private. I mean, they're not government agencies.
Yeah.
They are in business to make money. They are businessmen, Discos, Gencos. It's no longer owned by governments. It's only the transmission company of Nigeria that we have. We know that the government has the largest stake.
Yes.
So
They refuse to privatize
to
it.
privatize it for security and other reasons. Now, if a businessman will want to make money and want to do this business, and you want other people to come into the sector to invest,
Yes.
and we're underpricing this thing.
No, when we want to come up with a tariff must bear in mind inflationary rate, the landing rate, and the exchange rate. For example, about 2 months ago, the naira was around 350.
360.
Yes. Today is more than 400.
More than 400.
You know, all of that should come into pricing, in determining pricing, appropriate pricing. I'm not saying don't regulate, but you can't continue to regulate this sector, expect them to not to continue to operate at a loss, without also expecting them to cut corners. They will cut corners. This is what encourages it. So this is the point that one is making. The truth is, we need to cut down on our excessive spending on governance, so that we can free some money to provide meters for our people, free some money to buy transformers for our people. Every governor in a state, for example, has a minimum of 2 bulletproof cars, preferably G-Wagon or Lexus.
Toyota.
Prado now, even without bulletproof, is around 57 million. By the time you put bulletproof, is to go for like 120 million. So 120 times 2 in a state. 240. And then look at 36 states. You are talking about around 8 billion that we are spending on just 2 armored cars per governor. Do you know how many transformers we can buy out of this with 8 billion? Do you know how many meters we can provide for our people out of 8 billion? So there are many things that need to change. That sector has all kinds of problems. And I've always said that the weakest leg is transmission. Because even the Siemens report shows that distribution can actually take much more than 5,000 megawatts. But transmission cannot do more than 5,000 megawatts without also experiencing some problems. Either system failure the next day.
Which is not a regular thing.
5,222 megawatts was what we generated, was the highest we generated in a year. Whereas South Africa, that we don't like to see as Africa's true giant, will generate for you in the region of 48,000 megawatts, largely from coal. Largely from coal. We have refused to look at other sources of electricity generation. We are just relying on these gas-fired power plants. And when they can't get gas supply to those power plants, people will be in darkness.
Or if there's a pipeline explosion.
Yes, because those boys are constantly breaching. The problem with them is that when they breach pipelines looking for petrol, they will not know that it's actually gas pipeline. And you cannot pipe it. Once you break it, there's nothing you can do with it. There's no way by which you can collect the gas. So these are the problem. We have all kinds of problems in that sector, and government will really need to sit up. All the stakeholders must come together. You can't even increase tariff without having a meeting with consumers. You have to. Well, you can't do that at this time.
Adekunle, now should government subsidize this industry? This the Gencos and the Discos, the way they are subsidizing the petroleum sector.
Now, maybe for now, throughout the duration of this pandemic and post-pandemic, so that we are able to get everybody rehabilitated. But as Jide said, we all need to sit down. The sector is not properly structured. It's not properly privatized. Because I don't see the sector privatized when one arm of it has arrested all other arms. The Transmission Company of Nigeria has arrested that sector. And as long as government continues to hold on to that, then there's a problem. So I don't see any privatization. We are just deceiving ourselves. If we want to privatize that sector, first of all, let every consumer have a prepaid meter. That is to say, democratize that sector totally. If you do that, it will be difficult for anybody to cheat anybody. Then what we are called metering, what we are called we are underpaying, we are not paying enough tariff and all that, is because most things are not in place. The moment I have prepaid meter, you have prepaid meter, you can calculate on the average what happens. Within a month, 2 months, you can project, you can do your analysis and forecast very well. Then, whether you can remain in business, you will know. Whether you may not be able to remain in business, you will know. Then, if you don't do that, you want to subject more than 70% of electricity users in Nigeria to another round of exploitation. Let me tell you, let me give myself as an example. In the house I live, I stay in a 3-bedroom apartment. You know, we have 10 flats in the house. Yes. So we have 6 3-bedroom flats. We have 4 2-bedroom flats. They were, before we moved to, prepaid meter, they were giving us 35,000 or something thousand.
We are out of time. Jide, finally now, he said something, prepaid meter. We have a long way to go in metering everybody, all the consumers in Nigeria. How do we solve this other problem?
The government should, if they want us to all have prepaid meters, access to it should be, government should ease access to it. Allow people to be able to import prepaid meters. The duty on prepaid meters, crash the duty so that more people can go and bring in these prepaid meters and do business with the distribution companies. The truth is that there are not enough prepaid meters. Yes, there's a reluctance on the part of this discourse because they are cutting corners to even give what is available, but there's not enough. That is a fact. Every Nigerian electricity user should actually have
access to prepaid meter.
prepaid meter. But
All
we
right.
can't have it now because we just don't have enough.
Okay. I don't thank Adekunle Yusuf for joining us via Skype. Thank you, Koleshin. Thank you. And Vicky, thank you for always being there. And that's our package today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can also